Simon Doull joins us. Dooley, welcome back. You've been up the Belfry, mate. What you been doing?
Yeah, playing just a charity day up there for one of the sort of cricketing foundations that is over here. The Betfred Masters is on at the Belfry next week, Marty. So that's basically the British Masters. So looking forward to that. And looking forward to the US Open starting too, actually, overnight.
Yeah, the LA Country Club and Live Golf and of course the PGA players back together after the merger. What do you reckon is going to happen, mate? Do you think that anything's going to be set on course, or these guys just got more focus, which is trying to actually win one of these crowns?
I think there's a couple of guys that will probably have a little axe to grind a touch. There'll be a few poking fun at Rory, I would imagine, throughout the week because he's been the most outspoken. But you would like to think they're big enough and ugly enough just to get on with it. But, I mean, I think there'll probably be one or two. But there's an interesting group with, I think it's a Brooks Kep.
Yeah,
He's got Matsuyama and Rory and his. So, look, there's some great grouping, some great golf to be played. And I just hope they all kind of get on with it now and we get back to watching the best golfers in the world competing against the best golfers in the world.
You know, I began the program by doing my usual sermonise and saying that the more things change, the more essential certain things need to stay the same. And this weekend, kicking off tomorrow, we've got the US Golf Open. We've also got the Ashes, two very traditional events in sport. And I'm looking at these majors for a start, mate. They got to stay 4 days to me. You've still got to have a cut. I don't know what happens to the rest of the PGA Tour, but do you believe that as well? Just keep the format like it is for these tournaments.
I think the majors, absolutely. That's always been the way. The great thing about the PGA is the qualification. We wouldn't have had that great story with Michael Block. And, we wouldn't have had those sort of stories if that type of thing didn't happen at the PGA. The qualification for the Open in the UK is great. Any club golfer can or club pro can turn out and try and qualify for that. So, and then to have a cut, I think, is a great thing, to sit down and watch the best after the first two rounds. I love it, Marty. So I'm with you. I hope those two, or those four tournaments in particular, stay the same. And what we might see is a bit more of a merger with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. There might be a couple of, European type major events that are just on the undercard of the actual four majors. I don't know. I mean, time will tell as to what they come up with. But, I'm just excited that it's best on best again, which is great.
Ashes, mate, after watching Australia imperious against India, what are your thoughts going into the first test in Birmingham?
They looked a good side. They were underdone as well. They didn't really have a lot of preparation, as in game preparation. India didn't have any test preparation either, but England are kind of going into it having played that test match against Ireland. All they've done between then and now is at a few net sessions and played a lot of golf. So I hope they are ready to go. They'll be quite relaxed, that is for sure. And Aussie will be ready to go. Whatever bowling attack they pick, I think, is going to be very, very competitive. And England are going to find it harder, I think, to boss the Australian bowling attack than they have every other attack they've been up against. There's just a little bit of difference about this attack. And, I don't think England are certainly going to be able to do what they have done, but that doesn't mean they won't try. And I think that's the key. The things for me is, even if England do play aggressively and get away with it at times and put runs on the board, the fact for them is going to be getting out Labuschagne, Smith and Travis Head. That's where the Ashes will be won, and it might come down to the spin of Nathan Lyon as well from Australia's point of view. So first test, always a beauty, always a great first couple of hours to look forward to, so I can't really wait.
Simon Doull is with us, having a good old natter about what's happening in UK sport at the moment. People talk about Brendan McCullum changing, the way that England play and playing this aggressive style of cricket. Let's not forget that I think Australia invented this. I mean, I go back to when Gilly was coming in at number 7, mate. We've talked about this. The way he would bat on day 4, he'd get 80 off about 50 balls or something like that, and he'd put Aussie in a position where they all of a sudden have more than 3 sessions to get it to you. I mean, this is how the Aussies have always played their test cricket.
Yeah, very similar. I mean, they've always had aggressive type players, whether it be you talk about Gilchrist, Hayden, Ponting, Clark, Simons when he was playing Test cricket. They've always had the aggressive type player. I don't think this batch is quite of that same ilk. They're a little bit more stoic, particularly the Labuschagne and Smith combination. Travis Head's very aggressive. He was exactly that against India and kind of took the game away from them. So they've got those types of players if they want them. Look, England, as I say, look, they won't die wondering, for want of a better term. They're going to play the way that has been successful for them. And at the moment, it's very hard to knock. It's hard to knock the way they've been playing and the way they've won. They've won overseas, they've won at home. This is their toughest test, but it's just another test according to Stokes and McCullum, and they don't want to treat it any differently. Interesting that they brought Moeen Ali back for the first couple of test matches. It's an enormous call. A guy who didn't want to play, had no interest in playing Test cricket, retired from Test cricket. They asked him to go to Pakistan last year. He said no again, and they're still going back to him. He hasn't played a red ball game in 2 years.
Wow.
So that's a concern. His Test record against Australia is very ordinary, to say the least. And what sort of a message does it send to the rest of the spinners around the country who are working their backsides off in heat, in trying conditions, in first-class cricket, when a bloke who doesn't even want to play for the team 2 years ago can just get selected, on the whim of a coach and a captain?
Is it still going to be a massive deal? I mean, I can only imagine it is. It's 5 test matches. It's a big, long, hot summer. The weather's beautiful. It's Aussie. It's the Ashes, everything.
Massive. It is huge, mate. Look, the tickets, you can't get tickets for love nor money on the, whatever you call it, the sort of secondary market. So these are the eBays and that side of thing. It's a trade me type situation from New Zealand's point of view. Lord's tickets are going at about £2,000, £2,000
wow.
a pop. So they are so sought after, particularly days 1, 2, and 3 at all of the venues. And if you can get a hold of one, you're very, very fortunate, I think. So it's all about the Ashes. I mean, every paper, every news article at the moment in the sports sections, it is all Ashes, Ashes, Ashes. And, can England continue the way they've been playing? Can they compete with Australia? Will they be able to go as hard at this Australian attack, which has got some wherewithal about it? I mean, Scotty Boland was brilliant again against India, sorry. So, it's just all the great storylines, I think, that you look forward to. There's been a bit of toing and froing from Stuart Broad and Mitchell Stark as far as what happened in the last Ashes series. So everyone's looking for that little bite, that little bit of, bit of gossip that they can find to kick it off. Yeah.
Well, I mean, thank God then that maybe that the Jack Grealish Man City front page photo cover news story is actually finally subsided. I mean, has the guy even made it back to England and back home yet?
I don't think he's had a shower yet, Marty. I think that's one thing that was one of the headlines I saw. Has Jack Grealish showered yet? It was 48 hours after Istanbul. So, look, I don't know. And good on him. Good on him. I mean, we want our sports stars to be human, and then we chastise them when they are human. I mean, they've had a long, he's had an incredible time for the last, you're going back 8-9 months for Grealish, whether it be international, whether it be club, European and at home. God, let the bloke let off some steam.
Exactly.
And let him enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just wish that he was wearing a red shirt instead of a blue shirt. And by that, I don't mean your red shirt either, mate.
Not your red.